I'm the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So, gonna have to go back to some history and a little bit of rambling for this one. So, a really long time ago, back in 2018, I think, late 2018, I got into to Warhammer 40k again after a 20-year hiatus, and I chose necrons. And I bought a bunch of them, and I painted them, and I played with my friends, and I kind of learned how to play. And then I started going up to my local Mallhammer and playing against the guy up there, clerk guy, Jason. And I did that for, I don't know, 7, 8 months, where I would walk from my house up to the mall with my army, and I would play the local guy, and I would learn, and I would try and teach my friends. And it got to the point where my friends wouldn't play me anymore. So I had to make a decision, do I keep on going with the Necrons, or should I branch out and choose a different army? I ended up choosing a different army, the Night Lords, because I like the idea of Conrad Kurz. And I'm not a huge fan of Space Marines, but the fact that there are Chaos ones, or in Kurz's case, heretical ones, that makes enough of a difference for me to cancel out the humanness part of it. So my friends started being okay with playing my Night Lords. But then my friends kind of stopped playing. And my schedule was such that I couldn't go up to the local Mallhammer store anymore, so because I'm super introverted, I have trouble going out and meeting new people and all of those things, so I just started playing against myself. So since I only had two factions, I could only ever play Necrons against Night Lords. So I've probably played a couple hundred games by myself against myself before I ever got the idea to start putting it on YouTube. So we're going to do a throwback game today. Like I said, I've played these guys a million times, and it's always enjoyable to me, and I have a feeling that this game is going to be extra special. I do play Necrons and Night Lords on this channel, but not as often, just because I have played them a lot. So, throwback game. We're going to do it on a terrain that I got from Billy. It just sounds like it'll be a good time. Going to do a little extra special something with the Night Lords, since we also have Billy's AdMech army. But yeah, we'll look at that in a second. So on the left is an Engine Seer, in the middle is a Dark Apostle, and on the right is a Aspiring Champion. I don't currently own a Warpsmith, which is the Chaos equivalent of the Engine Seer here. So I'm going to convert one. I bought an Engine Seer. I have a Dark Apostle model laying around somewhere that I haven't put together yet. And I recently bought a Combat Patrol, I think is what it is, that comes with the Dark Apostle, the Havocs, and the Hellbrute, and the Space Marines. So between those three things, I should be able to kit bash convert a Warpsmith over for myself. So that's what's going to happen at some point. Alright, we'll look at the board here. Alright, so this is the little Factorum section, a little bit of buildings kind of thing going on that we'll be playing on today. Should be a really good time. I am super enjoying having Billy's terrain here because he's got a lot of really decent big terrain that should be fun to climb on and maybe have some decent melee fights on. Should be a good time. Okay, so for the throwback Night Lords, I guess they're not really throwback. It's not like I'm playing 2nd edition or anything. So for the current game of Night Lords, we have this large grouping. We have a Chaos Lord and a Master of Executions, a Master of Possessions who knows Infernal Gauge and Incursion, a Sorcerer who knows Prescience and I completely forgot, but I think it might also be Infernal Gauge. He definitely knows Prescience, and that's pretty much the only thing he uses. So we've got two 9-man squads of Chaos Space Marines. The Aspiring Champion here has a Chain Axe, and there's a Plasma Gun with a special weapon. Aspiring Champion has a Power Fist, and there's a Flamer for the special weapon. And they have a 10-man squad of Chaos Space Marines, Chain Sword for the Aspiring Champion, and then a Heavy Bolter and an Auto Cannon. 3 Chaos Bikers, a Venom Crawler, a squad of 5 Havocs, 2 Las Cannons, a Heavy Bolter, and a Reaver Chain Cannon. 2 Obliterators that'll be hanging out in their Teleportarium thing. 2 Greater Possessed. 5 Warp Talons that will also be hanging out in some sort of Teleportarium thing. A Hellbrute with the Hellbrute Fist and Heavy Flamer and the Twin Las Cannon. And then a Rhino, which will be carrying the Master of Possessions, the Master of Executions, the Sorcerer, the Chaos Lord, and the 2 Greater Possessed. Alright, so with the addition of Billy's AdMech army, I've decided, hey, why not? Let's just kind of proxy in most of a Chaos, a Chaos Knight Lord house kind of thing. So we've got the Knight Desecrator with the Laser Destructor and the Reaper Chainsword. We're going to pretend that the Knight Castellan is exactly like that. I think that they have some sort of Chaos equivalent for an Armiger Warglaive, but we're just going to pretend that these are Armiger Warglaives whose pilots went to Chaos. And that's what they're going to be. So there's also this Engine Seer and Fabius Bile, but we're just going to pretend that they're actually Warpsmiths. They're just going to hang out with the Chaos Knights and try and keep them alive. Hopefully that's what occurs. So yeah, that's pretty much all of my Chaos with a few minor exceptions. I'm hoping that with the addition of the Knights and their proxies, these guys will have a much more better experience against the Necrons. Speaking of the Necrons, let's look at them. So here we have the opposing Necron force. We got an Overlord with a Void Scythe and a Resurrection Orb. A Lord with a Resurrection Orb. I know this guy looks like a Cryptek, but I swear it's a Technomancer. 3 squads of 5 Immortals with Tesla Carbines. 8 Lich-Guard with the Hyperpace Sword and Void Shields. That might even be correct. I just say Sword and Board because that's what everybody else says. We're going to go with that. 6 Scorpec Destroyers. 2 groupings of 2 Heavy Destroyers. 1 each. 1 God's Destructor, 1 Inminic Exterminator per grouping. 9 Scarabs because I don't know why I didn't love these things as much as I do now, but these things are so amazing at tying stuff up. We have 2 Annihilation Barges. This one has the Tesla Cannon. This one has the Gauze Cannon. 2 Doomsday Arcs. And the Silent King. 3 Hexmark Destroyers that'll be hanging out in their Teleportarium. But still, the Silent King. He's what matters. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're doing for the Necron portion of this. Even though there are 2 Chaos Knights and the 3 Chaos Armigers, I don't think that I'm going to need Catan to deal with that. Between the Silent King and the Doomsday Arcs, that should be enough. That's my hope anyway. I'm always pro Necron, so that's how it be. Alright, I'm going to set up the board again and we're going to play this out. Okay, so the Night Lords won the deployment roll-off, so they decided to choose this side. Makes sense, it's got lots of buildings. So we've got the Plasma Gun Space Marine squad in the front with the Heavy Bolter Autocannon in the middle, and then the Flamer there on the left. Venom Crawler between the buildings, Hellbrute kind of in the back, Havoc's on top. the Rhino with the command group and the Greater Possessed in between those buildings. The bikers back there in between the mostly proxied night house thingy. So all the armigers, the two night desecrators back there with the proxy warpsmiths just kind of riding those guys around. So the obliterators and the warp talons are just going to stay in their whatever that is, the oubliette thing or the teleportarium, whatever the thingy is. They're just going to stay there for now. Which means that the necrons got this side. So we've got immortals on this side with the Scorpex. Annihilation Barge behind them with the Technomancer. And then the Overlord hanging out on this little platform thing here. Doomsday Arc next to them. Silent King up in front. The Lich Guard next to him. And then another Annihilation Barge. The other Doomsday Arc. Two of the Destroyers. Another group of Immortals. The Scarabs. And then way in the back there is a Lord. So in the back here in this building, you have a squad of Immortals just hanging out, and then the other two heavy destroyers up on this platform here. Alright, so the Necrons failed to steal, so the Night Lords get to go first. Yay, Night Lords! So we'll start off with movement. Alright, so pretty much everybody advanced. The Rhino just moved forward. The Chaos Armigers just moved forward. The Bikers just moved forward, and then these Chaos Knights just also moved forward. The Warpstones advanced, so these guys only moved 11 because they both rolled a 6. There aren't any Psychers visible to do any fun things there. Shooting now. Stuff can shoot. Mostly those Chaos Knights. I think at least one of those Armigers is in range of something else. Either way, shooting phase. Alright, some pretty impressive stuff for the first round here. The Close Armiger shot at the group of Immortals there. Killed one, but it reanimated. So the Far Armiger there, he shot at the Scarabs and did a couple points of damage, but didn't actually kill one. These two knights, between the two of them, killed off the Annihilation Barge that used to be over there. That was kind of crazy. So yeah, if that's what I have to look forward to for Necrons, might be a short game. Who knows? Not close enough to charge anybody. No morale owed on either side, so that'll make it the Necron turn. So movement. Alright, so the Necron infantry is definitely surged forward here. Pretty much all the infantry advanced. The Annihilation Barge just moved forward. The Doomsday Arcs and the Silent King did not move. The Immortals hanging out back here didn't move. These heavy destroyers didn't move. These guys did move but did not advance. And I dropped in 2 Hexmark destroyers on top of this platform thing here. No Catan for this game. I don't really think I need it. So we'll do a whole lot of Necron shooting. Hopefully where I kill a whole lot of Space Marines. Well, as Necron shooting phases go, it was not the worst one I've ever done, but it certainly was not. And my expectations fell a little short here. So a couple of these guys were actually in range of this squad, so they managed to kill a couple of them off. 2 Hexmarks killed off 5 of these guys. And then pretty much everything over here, the Doomsday Arc, the 4 Destroyers, and the Immortals all took shots into the non-painted armature there, and they did like, I don't know, 3 or 4 damage to it. It was a sad day. There was a whole lot of saves that this thing made. That ion shield definitely helps. That being said, nobody's close enough to charge, so it'll swing back to the Night Lord's turn for movement. Alright, so the Night Lords have definitely moved a lot further this time. Starting to get close enough to see the... Okay, I guess these guys don't have whites in their eyes, but they're getting close enough to see the... I don't know, the silver glinting off the sun, perhaps. These guys advance closer, trying to get to the top of this thing. The Venom Crawler just moved up. The Hellbrute also just moved up. These guys moved up. The Havocs moved down off of the building. This Chaos Armature moved over. These Chaos Space Marines advanced across the pipe. The Chaos Rhinos somehow just rumbled across the pipe. Bikers moved up. The other 2 Chaos Armatures moved up. And these guys moved up. Not really any room to drop down the Obliterators or the Warp Talons, so maybe next turn we can probably clear some of these Necrons out, hopefully. Still don't have any Psychers on the board. They're all still in the Rhinos, so no Psyker phase. So Chaos Shooting phase. This will probably be pretty successful, I think. Alright, so once again, I had higher expectations than what actually happened. Pretty much everything that could shoot did shoot. There was a lot of damage. I mean, the Hellbrute actually did a point of damage to one of the Scorpex over here, and the Havocs finished it off. The far red painted armature killed off 2 of the Scarabs. The Proxy Night Devastator did 1 point of damage to the Doomsday Arc over there. And that's pretty much all that happened. Everybody else either missed or was saved against. Charge phase? Yeah, there's going to be a couple charges here. So the Silver Armature will be charging into the Immortals, and the Red Armature will be charging into the Scarabs. Not quite sure if the red one's going to make it, but the silver one should definitely be close enough. So yeah, we'll see. Alright, so the red painted armature definitely did not make his charge. The silver one did make his charge and did take a point of damage in Overwatch. He kind of killed one of the Immortals, but it reanimated, and they definitely did no damage back to it. If I sound like I'm trying not to giggle, I did a whole lot of giggling already because that was super funny. Hilarity. Alright, so no morale. That'll take us over to the Necron turn. Alright, these Immortals most definitely fell back. Lich Guard moved over a little bit closer to them so they can charge better. The Scarabs moved up because they're determined to not fail their charge. The Silent King actually moved over a little bit. The Heavy Destroyers moved up a little bit. The Annihilation Barge is going to stay put this turn. Both Doomsday Arcs are going to hang out. These Heavy Destroyers on the second floor are just going to hang out. The Overlord advanced forward. The Technomancer moved up. These Immortals advanced up onto the second floor here. Ironically enough, that's where these guys were trying to get to, so that'll be a fun battle here in about a turn. And these Scorpex also moved up. Hex marks are just going to hang out there and shoot stuff. No Catan, so it is indeed that turn, so Necron shooting phase. Alright, so the Chaos Dice are definitely putting in they're spending their good karma points. They have made some really spectacular saves. The Silver Armiger here should be dead a few times over. It made some really good saves. You know, it saved against the Doomsday Arc, it saved against both of those destroyers. It saved against both of these destroyers. The Hexmarks here, at least, killed 6 out of this squad, including the Heavy Bolter, so... The Annihilation Barge over here was kind enough to destroy the Venom Crawler. This Doomsday Arc over here did a little bit of damage to this Armiger. The far Doomsday Arc did a couple points of damage to the Proxy Devastator. And that's about all that happened. They made some pretty massively good saves there. So the charge phase, these Scorpex are going to charge into what's left of this squad. The Lich Guard are going to charge into that Silver Armature. And the Scarabs over there are going to charge into the Painted Armature. Alright, Lich Guard, I have a lot of faith in you. Alright, everybody made their charges, nobody suffered any damage from Overwatch. The Scorpex most definitely eviscerated all of the Night Lord Space Marines that were here. The Lich Guard came through and actually managed to kill the Armiger that was here. And these Scarabs did a decent amount of damage to the Armiger. And then it responded by doing a little bit of damage to them. Yeah, that was super successful. Alright, so that'll take us over to the Night Lord turn. Movement. Alright. These guys didn't quite get enough of an advance to get up the ladder, but they got to the base of it. The Rhino dropped the Sorcerer out and then moved up to here. These guys had the same problem as the other squad. They got a far enough advance to get to the ladder, but not enough to get up. The Hellbrute, Armiger, and Havocs have all moved up closer towards the Scorpex. Over here, the Warpsmith on this guy healed him for 3 health. And then both Knights moved up. The Bikers moved up closer to the Lich Guard. The Armiger over here is going to stay in combat. And 2 Obliterators drop down over here by the Doomsday Arc. No lie, they're probably going to destroy it. Alright, well, there is a Psyker out on the field. Yeah, we're going to have to do Smite. Alright, so he knows Prescience, Smite, and Infernal Gaze. Prescience isn't really going to help anybody here because they advanced. Infernal Gaze is another damage dealer, so we'll just do Smite on the Scorpex. Goes off on a 5. That's a 6. D3 damage. That's enough to kill one. We'll take this one. Alright. I realize that most people probably use Smite a lot overly, you know, but I do like to explore the Psycherness, which is kind of why I'm shying away from 10th. Either way, that'll take us to the Night Lord shooting phase. I see good times here. Alright, so the Havocs kill the Scorpec. The Obliterators over here did 7 damage to this Doomsday Arc. Both of these things actually managed to wound the Doomsday Ark with their laser destructors, and Quantum Shielding swooped in to save the day, which was nice because I don't. Yeah, no, I like the Doomsday Arcs. They do lots of damage when they work. So it'd be nice to not lose one. Yeah, pretty much the only other things that could shoot the. This thing shot everything it had at the Annihilation Barge, which made all of its saves. The bikers shot their combi bolters at the Immortals. They all reanimated. The three of them that died reanimated. And yeah, nobody else really even hit. Sad day. So, charging. Both the Hellbrute and the Armiger are going to charge into the Scorpex. That Armiger is still in combat. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be about it for charging. So, charging, fight phase. So, that was the most amazing fight phase that I've done in a really long time. The Hellbrute, by himself, managed to kill off all three of the Scorpex. Man, I've always wanted a Hellbrute, and now I know why. He totally makes up for the other games where he sucked. You can keep on sucking him for another couple games, because that was freaking awesome. So the Scarabs did a lot of damage over here, and lost one in return. So yeah, that was amazing. As a Necron player, that was horrifying, but as the Night Lord player, I am kind of dancing around in joyous victory. I may not win the game, but that was totally worth the entire experience. Man. That does make it the Necron turn. So we'll do some movement. So the start of the movement phase, living metal kicks in, and this guy regains a wound. And one of the scarabs the wounded scarab over there also regains a wound. So for the movement portion here, the Overlord is turned around and is coming back to take these guys on. The Immortals are hanging out. The Technomancer moved up. Both Doomsday Arcs and this Annihilation Barge are just hanging out. The Locust Heavy Destroyers up there are just hanging out. Silent King moved over a little bit. These Immortals are hanging out. The Locust Heavy Destroyers moved up, as did the Lord. The Scarabs are pretty sure they can take that thing in combat, so I'm going to let them go for it. The Lich Guard moved a little bit closer to the Bikers. And the Hexmarks just kind of moved around a little bit to try and get better angles on these Space Marines and these Space Marines. And I dropped the last Hexmark in. And hopefully he can kill these Havocs. That being said, that will make it the Necron shooting phase. Alright, so the Annihilation Barge here destroyed the Rhino, kicking all of its inhabitants out. None of them took any damage, unfortunately. The Hexmark over here only killed one of the Havocs. Only killed one. The Hexmarks failed to kill anything at all, but they sure were close. The Immortals shot at the Rhino and didn't do anything to it. The Doomsday Arc shot all of its god stuff at these guys, but they saved really well. And then its big gun failed to wound on this armature. The Immortals killed off the Bikers. And then pretty much everything over here, the Silent King, the Doomsday Arc, and then all four of the Destroyers managed to kill off the Proxy Night Devastator. But it took a lot. Charge phase. So So the Overlord over here is going to charge into the Obliterators. Those Scarabs are still in combat. I think that's pretty much the only things that can charge that are close enough that are melee, so yep, Overlord and Scarabs. So the Overlord made his charge, didn't suffer any damage in Overwatch. His Void Size killed one of the Obliterators and did a couple points of damage to the other one. It didn't do any damage in return. Over here, the Scarabs finally managed to kill the Armiger. Good job, boys. That'll make it to Night Lord's turn. Movement. So one of the proxy Warpsmiths heals the Chaos Knight for 2 points of damage. And then it just moved up a little ways. The remaining squad here has moved up onto the platform. The Armiger and the Halberd have both moved up. Havocs have moved forward a little bit. These guys scooted over to get better line of sight on the Immortals. The command group is all pretty much moved forward. This Great Possessed moved over to the ladder with the intention of charging this guy. These Warp Talons came in with the intention of charging into this guy. The Obliterator is going to stay in combat. And yeah, that'll take us to the Psychic phase. Alright, so the Sorcerer is going to try and manifest Prescience on these guys. Goes up on a 5, gets it on a 6. So these guys are now +1 to hit in the shooting phase. And the Master of Possessions is just going to smite the Technomancer. Not with a 3. Fair enough. So that'll be the Night Lord shooting phase then. Alright, so the Space Marines that had the Prescience did a couple points of damage to the Hexmark that was over here. And then the Havocs just finished it off. The Halberd and the Warglaive here killed off the Annihilation Bars that was over here. The Night Desecrator killed off one of the Heavy Destroyers over there. It was super sad. I'm kind of super sad about it. That was super crazy. So, charge phase. Okay, I guess I'll have the Knight charge these Lich Guard over here. This Greater Possessed is going to charge the Technomancer. This Greater Possessed is going to charge the Hexmark. The Warp Talons are going to charge this Hexmark. I guess the Master of Executions will also charge the Technomancer. And then this guy's still in combat. Alright, that's a whole lot of fighting to do, so I should probably get on to it. So, most everybody made their charges. The Warp Talons died in Overwatch. So the Master of Executions killed the Technomancer. Greater Possessed killed the Hexmark. The Obliterator didn't do any damage at all to the Overlord, but then the Overlord just went ahead and killed the Obliterator. And 3 Lich-Guard died to the Knight, and they did 4 damage back. That was kind of ridiculous. And when I say kinda, I mean really ridiculous. That was just overly ridiculous. Okay. That definitely makes it to Necron turn. So, movement. Alright, so now that he's accomplished his purpose of killing off the Obliterators, the Overlord has once again turned around and is now advancing to maybe get back to the rest of the fight. These Lich Guard fell back. And these scarabs are getting closer to this lone engine seater over here. Everybody else is literally just hanging out and staying put, which will lead us straight into the necron shooting phase. Alright, there was a lot of ridiculous amount of shooting that just occurred. So the Hexmark here killed a couple of these Havocs off. The Doomsday Arc used its Flare Array to kill off the Greater Possessed that was over here. And then its Doomsday Cannon actually worked and killed off the Hellbird. So that was nice. So this Doomsday Arc, the remaining destroyer over there, and these two destroyers up here on the second floor managed to kill off the Chaos Knight. And then the Immortals killed off the two Warpsmiths. Yeah, it was super, super ridiculous. A moment of silence for the dead knight. There won't be a charge phase for Necrons. There's just nobody melee-wise close enough to anybody. So that'll take us to the Night Lord turn for movement. Alright. These guys aren't moving. These guys moved up a little bit. The Armiger moved up. The Master of Possessions, Chaos Lord, and Master of Executions all moved up. The Chaos Space Marine squad over here moved a little bit forward on the platform so that the Sorcerer could hop up here. Yeah, this is all that's left, so that'll take us to the Psychic phase. The Master of Possessions is just going to cast Smite on the Doomsday Arc. He gets the big one with the 11, so that's D6 damage. That's a big fat 6 damage to that thing, which really kind of screws it. So Sorcerer is going to try and cast Prescience on the small squad of Space Marines in front of him. He does in fact get it with a 9, so they once again have a +1 to hit in the shooting phase. Which, it's the shooting phase, so yay, +1 to hit. Alright, so the smite that the Master Possessions did to the Doomsday Arc put it down to 3 health. So the Armiger here just went ahead and killed it. I don't remember the last time I lost a Doomsday Arc in a game. Like, I literally just don't remember. Wow, that's definitely craziness. These Space Marines killed a couple of the Lich Guard over here. These Havocs managed to kill the Hexmark. And these guys didn't actually do anything at all. Charge phase? Actually not really anybody close enough to charge. I mean, I guess these guys could theoretically charge up onto this thing. I don't know if there's room for all of them on here, though. I mean, yeah, whatever, screw it. These Space Marines are going to charge these Immortals. Alright, so nobody died in Overwatch, but they also didn't make their distance. It is what it is. Yeah, that'll make it the Necron turn again. Movement. Alright, so the Overlord has moved up closer to the command grouping here. The Lich Guard moved over to get into charging range. The Scarabs are close, but not really in charging range, and all of these guys just started moving closer to this center platform here. So we'll do some Necron shooting, which will hopefully clear a good portion of this platform off. That's my goal anyway. I did accomplish my goal. So the group of Immortals over there killed off the Space Marines. And then the Annihilator beams from the Menhirs. One killed off the Greater Possessed, and then the other one killed the Sorcerer. The Immortals up here on the platform killed off the Havocs that were over here. Those guys unfortunately missed their shots into these guys. So the charge phase, which is gonna pretty much just be this Overlord. I guess I'm just gonna have to multi-charge into these guys since they're all close together. So we'll see how that looks at the end of it. Alright, so this guy definitely put in some work today. He made his charge, he took no damage in Overwatch. He killed the Master of Possessions and did a lot of damage to the Master of Executions and made all of his invuln saves against both the Lord and the Master of Executions. So finally the green dice are going to start working for me. I like it. That does take us to the Night Lord's turn, which is those two dudes and the remaining members of this squad. Alright, yeah, movement. Alright, so the remaining members of this Space Marine squad have made it up onto this platform. Those guys are going to stay in combat. So the shooting phase, since all the Psychers are dead. Alright, so those guys with their pistols were not able to do any damage to the Overlord. And these guys killed one Immortal. Alright, so that'll be the charge phase, which will definitely be these guys into the Immortals. And the regular fight phase of these two guys with the Overlord. Alright, so 3 of these Night Lords died in Overwatch, and they killed an Immortal. Alright. Oh, and I don't know how I could forget. They didn't actually manage to kill the Overlord, and the Overlord killed the Master of Executions. Alright. So that'll make it the Necron phase. Probably the last phase of the game. Well, the last turn of the game, probably. I don't know. These guys have been saving obscenely well all night, so maybe they'll continue. Who knows? A movement. So the Immortals fell back, hopping down off of the platform. The Overlord is going to stay in combat. The Lich Guard advanced forward to give the Silent King room to get a lot closer. And nobody else is going to move. So we'll do some Necron shooting. So the Menhirs killed one of these guys. The Doomsday Arc killed the other one. Which just leaves combat with these two guys. Alright, it took a really long time, but it did manage to kill off the Chaos Lord. That means that all the Night Lords are dead, and the Necrons have won. Jesus, that was a hard-fought victory. I'm literally having trouble remembering a game where I lost both Annihilation Barges and a Doomsday Arc. I don't think it's ever happened before. That's just craziness. I think that the proxying of the Night House for the Night Lords was a good idea on my part because I definitely was working for it with the Necrons. Had to think a lot more strategically about what I was shooting. And having both those knights coming in at the same time together like that with their shots and just killing stuff left and right, that was super crazy too. Like I kind of wish they'd made it a little bit further so they could have done the whole Reaper Chainsword against the Doomsday Arc or even the two of them teaming up against the Silent King. That would have been nice. Maybe the next game. This was a nice throwback game though. But the necrons against the Night Lords on a GW surface like this, kind of a more like a throwback 2.0, since I have more ninth edition units than I ever did before, I guess. But yeah, this was a great game. It was a lot of good rolls. Sometimes I think, maybe I should figure out a way to include dice rolls, and then I smack myself like, we don't want to do that. It's weird enough doing it for the psychic rolls and the Catan rolls. Either way, if you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. This was definitely a long game for me. I have no idea what time it is, but I've been down here at least 2.5 hours. A much bigger game than I anticipated. But yeah, I love the matchup of Necrons and Night Lords. For me, especially, it's the two armies that I started with. I started with Necrons, then I went over to Night Lords. So it's always especially fun for me to do a Necron Night Lord game. And yeah, especially again with the Night Houses, that was super, super helpful. They did a lot. Night Lords lasted longer than they normally do, so I might try more versions of that in the future. So, again, if you made it all the way here, thanks for watching. Have a good day.